It's the 10 to 1 podcast with your host, Brad Oman, featuring Ben Conowitz and Nate Laux. And here's the podcast.
Really recognize you guys. It's been a long time.
It's been too long.
It's
been a long time.
You said you were going to start to rap.
Left you.
Yeah. For those of our listeners that don't know us personally, you probably haven't heard that
Step two.
Ben and Brad have really gotten into the rap season. So Brad's already went. Ben, go ahead. Do your rap.
Yeah, boxes and dicks, dicks and boxes, boxes and dicks and
Ribbit rap-tastic.
Blizzard Man out. Oh, it's the 10 to 1, guys. And you know what? We don't really have a new episode of Saturday Night Live to talk about. But what do we have to talk about?
And we're also,
why are we doing this?
Well, we're taking a little bit of a break from our typical hiatus activity of checking in with the SNL movies of years past. We were going to jump on the Superstar bandwagon, but with a little bit of inspiration recently from another podcast, the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast, we decided to dedicate some time to taking a look back at the era of SNL Digital shorts.
All 4,722 of them.
There are just over 100, 110 officially, I believe, is the number. And we did have some discussion as far as like which ones were official, because there are just a handful that did not get broadcast with the SNL Digital short introduction, but they were classified as digital shorts later when they were put online. We'll talk about one of those specific ones.
No one cares.
They literally, the people who are listening to this are the ones who care.
No one cares.
And so we'll talk about that one once we get into the conversation.
This is a big hill for Brad to die on. He really wanted to die on.
We almost broke up over this.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, this wasn't a hill for me to die on because Ben was the one who was having a hissy fit about how to classify things.
Yeah, Ben, you were in a really, really rough mood. So we all got together. We watched for 16 hours. We watched.
Yeah, you were in like 6 beer stepdad
You were in
mode.
a really rough mood. Are you okay now?
I wasn't even in a bad mood then. Brad opened his mouth, though. That was the
problem. You were mad at Brad. You were getting mad at Brad.
It's tough to face questions when you don't understand the answers and how to figure them out, Ben. We get it. Yeah, have that deep breath.
It's happening again.
So, 110 digital shorts, and what we're doing is we're
going to talk about every one of them tonight.
We're breaking them up into chunks. So what we've done for this episode, if we've watched the first 35 digital shorts, and what era of SNL does this cover, Nate?
So the whole entire era is 2005 through 2013, but we're only today going to talk about those.
There are some that did come after 2013, right?
Yeah, but primarily, right?
When the Lonely Island was on SNL.
Yeah. So this is season 31, season 32, season 33, which covers 2005 fall through spring of 2008.
Yeah, and to remind you guys, the SNL Digital short era is something that is defined by the Lonely Island, and that's Andy Samberg, Akiva Schaffer, and Jorma Taccone. Those are the guys who created Dick in a Box and Lazy Sunday, would go on to make Hot Rod and Pop Star, and they've been a comedy trio for a long time, and they came around at a time when digital filmmaking was on the rise. And this really was like a game changer for SNL and brought them back into the conversation of pop culture zeitgeist in a way that they really needed, because like they had shorts that started going viral and they were doing them all the time. And it was easier to do them around this time because of the rise of digital cameras and whatnot. And so
and YouTube. Yeah,
YouTube was a huge one and Lazy Sunday kind of was a way that a lot of people started to discover YouTube. And this was before sketches were officially available online the day after they aired. And so people were uploading them illegally so that people could watch them.
That was the thing. Like, they talk about that on the Lonely Island podcast, where it's like, oh, when we first started doing this, people were just uploading them.
Yeah.
We weren't. But people were uploading to this thing called YouTube, and it was like, what the hell? Like, we've got to do something about this. Like, we not in a bad way, but like, we need to start putting these out there.
Yeah. Now, the Lonely Island didn't pioneer the idea of doing pre-recorded shorts on SNL. Adam McKay was kind of one of the first ones who did stuff digitally, and they did shorts with when different hosts and things like that were on. But this was the first time that the Lonely Island established the brand that became an SNL digital short.
And Brad, there's also even a deeper history with digital media for SNL, because actually when Dick Ebersol took over, he wanted to make Saturday Night Live all digital shorts, like all pre-records anyway, you know?
Right.
And so, which I think I like the hybrid, right? The
Oh,
hybrid.
yeah.
And the hybrid, as they talk about, there's a specific reason why Lorne Michaels wants pre-tapes and why he wants digital shorts like this, because
It's a practical
to
reason.
do the live sketches, they have to set up the sets,
Yeah,
right?
and they have costume changes,
Yep.
and they have makeup.
And so they need 2-3 minutes or 6 minutes for a commercial break. Plus,
Yep.
they need that time to do that. And so,
What better way than to keep the laughs coming?
Okay.
So to modernize this a little bit, or to bring it to a more contemporary, if you're only watching SNL more recently, I was looking it up. Please Don't Destroy is kind of the modern equivalent of The Lonely Island. They've kind of taken over the digital shorts for
The
SNL.
mantle.
Yeah. Well, I would
Yeah.
say before that, I think Beck Bennett and Kyle Mooney, as Good Neighbor, they were doing it for a while
A
too.
little bit, but
But
I don't
they
think
didn't get their own branding in the way
Yep.
that Please Don't Destroy did, but they were
Exactly.
still doing what
Certainly.
Lonely Island was
They've
doing.
always had that element.
Yeah.
But
Somebody's done.
they were also regular sketch performers, whereas
Sure.
Please Don't Destroy is specifically only in the digital
just
shorts.
like
That's true.
in a sense, just like The Lonely Island.
Well, yeah,
they're
because
writers.
Keeve and Jorma were not
but
typically
Andy
on the
was
show.
at least a cast member,
right, of course.
So
But how
all
many-
three of them were different.
How many? Because we've been doing this since they've been on the show. Please Don't Destroy. We've been doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
How many Please Don't Destroy pre-recorded sketches do you think there are?
I'm gonna say 28.
I'm gonna say there are 21.
There are 35.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that crazy? That's how quickly these build up,
Yeah,
right?
that's
How
crazy.
quickly these build up. Over 3 seasons, they've done 35 sketches. Lonely Island, over 7 to 8 seasons. I forget how many it was.
Mm-hmm.
They did 100, like you said, 110, roughly 105, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, it's 110. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Give or take a couple.
such an essential form of comedy presented by SNL, and yeah.
But before we get into that, we do want to do a little, not really even housekeeping for us, but housekeeping for SNL itself. There was some news that broke over the summer break here. Colin Jost, still on the show, but also not part of the Olympics anymore.
Hilarious,
Did you see this?
though.
Did you even know anything about it?
No, I saw the unfortunate surf reporting he was doing.
God. I mean, I'm sure he took the gig. Like, Colin Jost was hired by NBC to go to the French
Tahiti or-
Polynesia
Yeah.
to host the Olympic surfing competition. He knows nothing about
To report
surfing.
on it, yeah.
Yeah, it was just what.
And he broke his toe.
No, he cut his foot on the reef.
Oh, that's what it
and
was.
Surfing
he developed
himself.
a staph infection, and so he had to leave that because of that.
Oh, I didn't
No,
realize.
there was a report he had like multiple infections
Yeah.
from different things.
He was literally getting sick, and so the guy that took over was a weatherman from Australia that knows a lot about surfing, and so he was like, I didn't understand why they would have this Jost guy who like
Oh, that's not how he talks. Come on.
Come on, Tom Hardy.
I don't know why this bloke would come over and want to do this, but instead we're all weathered, we've all been surfing, right? And then he's perfect. He's absolutely perfect.
There we go. Now the podcast.
You're ready now. Yep. So
But that is what he said. He goes, we're all weathered, and he's perfect, and that's why he didn't fit in.
if you can go on X or on YouTube or I'm
Don't
sure
say
it's on
X. It's called Twitter. We'll never call it X. We're not giving any satisfaction to Elon Musk. That piece of shit. He can fuck himself.
Whoa!
wherever videos are found, find some of the ones that Colin Joseph's doing. They're hilarious.
It's hilarious in the
Is
in
it
the
on
worst
X
way.
Hamster?
Probably.
Maybe.
So anyway, beyond that though, Molly Carney and also
Punky Johnson. Both,
no longer with the show.
both have been confirmed to leave the show. Punky Johnson's came as a bit of a surprise that she announced kind of unceremoniously during a comedy show in Brooklyn when there was a Q&A portion from the audience. And it seemed like she was maybe a little more forthcoming and honest about her time at SNL during that show, because some of the audience members talked about some of the things that she had mentioned, saying that, like, you know, she had been feeling miserable and that they might have asked her to tone down getting buff and getting rid of her dreads, which, you know, that's kind of something you do hear about at SNL, is like they want you to fit into a certain mold and like kind of, you know, shape your image and that kind of thing. And then Molly Carney announced that they were leaving the show either the day or a couple days later on Instagram. They made the announcement and just said that they were very, you know, grateful for their time.
Yeah. I had a great time on the show.
Yeah.
I'm leaving with great memories, and
There were some
love the cast.
really cool pictures they posted on Instagram too, because there was one with Ayo Edebiri on a school bus set with a green screen behind them, and that was a sketch we did not get to see.
That's awesome. So thoughts?
I was a little shocked that Molly is leaving. It's only been 2 years, 2 seasons.
Yeah, I wouldn't say shocked. Because Molly has not necessarily like had a big shining debut moment. They don't have any memorable characters under their belt, similar to Punky Johnson. They have had moments to shine. Both of them have, but I feel like they weren't necessarily like fitting in as easily as like Marcello or Michael Longfellow. You know, they've done a pretty good job so far.
But then that brings up the fourth newcomer to the show as of late, Devin Walker. And Brad and I had the opportunity to see James Austin Johnson and Andrew Dismukes and Devin Walker do stand-up comedy in Chicago about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Devin and Andrew and James did a Q&A, as you do at the end of the show. And they're asking, hey, do you have any questions about SNL? And so a lot of people got to ask a bunch of stuff.
But actually, during Devin's set was when he talked about SNL unprompted.
He didn't need to be asked the
it's
question.
It's a part of his act, right?
Yeah.
How do you like SNL? He was very forthcoming, saying, well, it'd be a lot easier if I was white. I mean, he said those words.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of tension there. I think he's sad. I think he's not very happy with how it's going. He just, and these are all his words saying like he's just not happy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the vibe was very much like I fucking hate it there. So I could see him dropping out pretty quickly here too if that's what he's willing to say that on stage. I mean, the writing's kind of on the wall.
There's been other performers of color that have not enjoyed.
Sure.
Chris Rock famously did not enjoy being on SNL. Do you think this is an ongoing issue that they're going through? I mean, right? You have the first non-binary cast member, and you have
the first openly queer black woman on SNL.
And then if Devin Walker, however, saying that, those three cast members, if we include Devin Walker in there, have really not found their foothold on SNL yet.
No, and it's no secret that SNL is not like this, like haven for diverse comedy. You know, like you see a lot of big, successful white people come out of that show, and it's not anything that is geared towards a lot of diverse audiences either. Like there was a whole push for them to actually get more black people on the show, and it wasn't that long ago that they had to do that, So and it's not a singular experience for the few black cast members on the show to have a difficult time getting stuff on the air because they're not leaning into black humor or stuff that involves black characters or even black people in like that are in headlines and pop culture and whatnot. So a lot of times it feels like they're there as like a token black person, be like, oh, well, when we need somebody who has to play a black person in real life, that's
Keenan's already in the sketch,
right? Exactly, and so so it's frustrating because that is one of the many pitfalls of SNL when it's such a this supposed to be this big show that's supposed to be big and crowd pleasing, and you have someone like Lorne Michaels who has been running it like this well-oiled machine for a long time, but it sucks that you have a diverse group of people who get pushed by the wayside because they don't fit what they want to see in a cast, on a show like this.
Devin Walker also in that time that he was talking about Saturday Night Live talked about like not meeting your heroes. As he talked about how Chris Rock probably deserved to get slapped in the face, and it was like he was just not pulling any punches, man.
I think what he said was he's like, oh yeah, why would one of the biggest movie stars in the world want to slap you? That's why. It's your personality.
It's your personality. It's who you are as a person.
Yeah.
It's like, Devin taking some shots. Like, okay, this is crazy. But I mean, hey, good for his honesty. Like, I love hearing it. I don't know that the bosses at SNL are going to love to hear that, obviously, because Chris Rock is an icon at that show. So again, the fact that he's willing to say all this stuff probably says a lot about he doesn't really give a shit if he's not on the show anymore.
Yeah, I think that's probably safe to say.
Yeah.
But the show was hilarious.
Yeah.
They were all fantastic.
Dismukes has probably the most polished set of the three of them. He was very, very funny. James Austin Johnson was probably working out some stuff.
I think that's because I actually saw him last year.
You saw James Austin Johnson.
Yeah, at the same venue, and he had a full polished set. That's
Brad and him did kiss after the show.
100%.
They were like, James was like, Brad, how have you been, brother? And then it was a full open mouth kiss.
Yeah,
not shocking.
Ben did tell them about the podcast, which was extremely embarrassing.
Yeah.
Why were you embarrassed?
Yeah, why were you embarrassed?
Are you embarrassed of what we do?
I'm sure the one thing that the stars of Saturday Night Live love to hear is when two chubby white guys have a podcast talking about what they do on the show.
Yeah,
two chubby. I'm on this podcast.
I specifically talked.
You weren't there.
I talked to Devin and I was like, hey, Brad and I, we're very white and we have a show where we talk about your performance on a weekly basis. That's how I phrased it.
Yeah.
He didn't love it,
No.
but no. All I said was like, we've got a podcast. I said we've got a dumb podcast. We talk about Saturday Night Live, and we love you guys.
And you could see James Austin's eyes glaze over, and he fell asleep.
He literally asked the question. He goes, "How long have you been doing that?"
He did. They were
He's very
kind.
sweet about
Yeah,
it.
they were very kind.
James, welcome. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening.
Honestly, and Andrew and Devin,
Can
we
I call you
appreciate
Jimmy?
They were no, honestly, they were very affable and very humble, and we bought a hat. They signed the hat. They're just nice guys. They're just in the lobby of the theater that they had just performed at, shaking hands and taking photos and being who you would hope they would be. It was very, very nice to see that they were not presumptuous or weird about it at all.
I looked up James Austin Johnson's IMDb not too long ago, and he's getting a lot of work now. I mean, not leading work, right? But he's getting a lot of like character acting type of work.
Yeah.
And it feels like his star is slowly but certainly rising in Hollywood as well.
Yes, 100%. So yeah, we're waiting to see what else happens before season 50 of SNL begins in late
Do you
September.
expect anybody else to leave?
The only other person I would agree with Ben is that Devin Walker. I could see him leaving before the show begins, but I think that's probably about
I think
it.
anybody else would not be their choice to leave. Everybody's holding on.
Do you
to say,
think-
like, I want to be part of the 50th?
Do you think of the two that left, it was their choice to leave?
It's Molly seems like they maybe left of their own volition. Punky,
I don't know.
I guess Punky too, because like if she
I think
was
Punky
miserable,
was miserable and probably wanted out. I think Molly probably more likely was let go.
maybe could go either way.
This is based on just nothing.
6 of one, half dozen the other.
To bring this back to the Lonely Island, in their podcast, they talk about the benefits of having a small cast, that it's better to have a small cast.
Oh, for sure.
Because the performers like it better. You get
you
to be
get
in
more stuff on.
Yeah,
like,
of
you
course.
get better. You get better at your
Well,
craft if
and
you're in more
I'm
stuff.
sorry, but the writers have to like it too, because it's got to be so hard to be like, hey, because there are logistics here. The writers might come up with 7 sketches that are all 2-person sketches that are fantastic, and that the producers are like, we can't have that this week. You've got to include more people. Write sketches that feature more players. Like, they're not going to just. There are parameters that they have to fit into. I guarantee it.
I don't know. I wonder because like I feel like it would the best thing would be just go with what's funniest, and if it's just 2 people, and that's just the breaks, especially when you're doing a live show where it changes every week. So
Season 32 SNL roster for the cast. Listen to
4
this.
people.
No, but listen to this. Fred Armisen, Will Forte, Bill Hader, Daryl Hammond, Seth Meyers, Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph, Andy Samberg, Jason Sudeikis, Kenan Thompson, and Kristen Wiig.
I mean, those are legitimately all Hall of Famers. all of them. Every single one of that cast is a Hall
Top
of Famer.
50, almost all of them, right?
All of
Like
them.
it's just amazing.
That's crazy.
So that was their cast. No other people.
Look at that cast and drop somebody. Like who do you even try to pick to drop? Daryl Hammond maybe, and that's just because he was more
So
of a holdover.
old.
No, honestly, more of a
Yeah.
holdover from a different cast.
of course,
But other than that, my God, what a
hell, a holdover from like 3.
seriously,
I know.
what a who's who. That's crazy.
But that is an amazing.
That's an elite
cast there.
cast for
So,
sure.
and they talk a little bit about why they loved that cast and why it was such a gift, because it was so small but also so talented.
Yeah. No. That's crazy that talent. All right, so let's get into it. I mean, you want to talk about some of the bottom feeders first? Because we obviously watched 35 of these, I think.
Something like that.
And
35.
And I wrote them down on physical piece of paper, of a physical analog piece of
Yeah,
paper.
Nate and I are doing this like adults on our
And
tablets and computers
I have
and phones.
This is my piece of paper that I have.
So many scratches.
There's just-
Yeah, he's like scratching. It looks like a child was making a grocery list, and then like
I had to put arrows to
Got
like
distracted by
fit
toys
sums in, but I've got a top 10.
I do too, and I don't have a piece of paper that makes me look like a serial killer.
Well, is it the bloodstains? Is that what's getting? You know what? Never mind. So yeah, there were so many of these that were obviously just forgotten, forgettable and or forgotten. And you watch it and you go, oh wow, that is Harpoon Man. Oh, that was.
Were there
that was
any
a
of
sketch.
these that you hadn't seen?
I meant probably, or at least I don't remember seeing.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I think I've seen them all.
Oh, I had no memory of The Best Look in the World, which is towards the bottom of my
Oh,
list.
that was a bad one. That was a bad one.
Yeah, that's one of the bad musical
Okay,
ones
my
that they
last
did.
one on the list is Nurse Nancy, and I did not remember that one.
No, I didn't.
That was the takeoff of the Clumps, where Andy Samberg played all of the characters, and that was my least favorite. It was not your least favorite, but it
No,
made the
I
bottom
thought I
of my list.
liked it conceptually, especially because at the time it was not like a tired joke. Like, Tropic Thunder hadn't come out yet. They hadn't done anything that was like riffing on, Eddie Murphy doing multiple characters.
Yeah, I'm probably just looking at it through the lens of 2024, where it's a little dated and who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
But like the idea actually came from I think it was did they say no who was it? Somebody else. I think it was somebody else's idea for this one though.
Cool.
Shut up, ugly.
We're a couple more than your bottom.
I didn't remember Brian Diaries.
They followed around Brian Williams, NBC reporter.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty good.
It's okay.
It's not in the bottom.
It's in the bottom.
Yeah,
it's not among the best. Yeah, I mean it's definitely in my bottom 10 as well. But I don't think it's bad.
Daiquiri Girl. I didn't remember.
Daiquiri Girl is definitely pretty close to the bottom for me.
Yep, that was a pretty terrible one where they're just singing about a girl. Oh, Daiquiri Girl.
Well, it was
and kind of like that actually.
And was that the one that they actually had another one planned and
it fell through and they had to.
Who was it that
they talked about? They had an A-lister that dropped out.
Yeah, and they name him. I forget. Who
but
it is.
I didn't know if that was the joke or not. Where they named who it was and they were like, yeah,
Gnarls Barkley, right?
Yeah,
Gnarls
Barkley wouldn't do it. That seems like they wouldn't actually call them out. Like that just seems weird.
Maybe. Why not?
Fuck Gnarls Barkley.
The description of that one is Andy Samberg appears in an amateur early 90s music video about a girl who loves to drink daiquiris. Meanwhile, text scrolls up the screen explaining that the producers apologize for airing the video because a certain musical guest, played by Gnarls Barkley, failed to appear for the shooting of a digital short despite an agreement to do otherwise. I like to believe that actually is true.
I mean, hopefully that is.
I hope it's true. Two that are kind of similar as far as like their simple premise, and like I think that they're entertaining to a point, but they're just so simple and forgettable that I couldn't help but put them towards the bottom. And that's Andy walking and Andy popping into frame. And these are both ones that kind of came along at a time when they were tired from working on Hot Rod. They talk about this on the podcast, and so it's just like one of those last minute ideas that they do, and it's cute.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Andy walking is literally the last sketch, the last episode of season 31, and they were just done.
Burnt
They were
out.
done. They talk about
one of the more interesting ones that's not very good necessarily, but I love the swing that they take. Is My Testicles.
Yeah, I don't think My Testicles is great.
It's not rotten.
It's
but
bad. It's bad.
I don't think it's bad, though.
It's not horrible.
Yeah, because I think it gets a
you
boost.
guys just like the word testicle.
I mean, it's funny.
It gets a boost from seeing Tom Hanks dressed as
Right Said Fred, basically.
Yeah, this Euro pop. Yeah, Right Said Fred kind of character.
Please don't cut my testicles.
Yeah,
and the explanation that like two men had very strange and horrible
traumatic experiences
with their testicles. I don't know. It's really out there, but it's a huge swing and it doesn't really connect, but it doesn't fully horribly shit the bed miss.
I mean, that was pretty low. That was number 30 on mine. Where was it on yours, Brad?
Where is it at? 27.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's still pretty low on yours. That's lower.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one that's pretty low, and I think Nate, you remember saying that. I remember you saying that it was pretty low on yours, but this is one of Ben's favorites, and for me, I Ran So Far Away.
Oh, fuck you! It's one of my favorites.
Is at 24?
No
for me.
way! It's so good.
Where's I Ran So Far Away for you, Nate?
Oh no, that's 12 for me. It's not top 10 though. It's top 10 for you, right? Or
it's top 5 for me.
Yeah,
I love that.
No, if I remember right, we kind of balanced it. It was middle for me. It was high for.
Why do you think you think that's bad?
No, I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's nearly as great as you do. Because I think seeing Fred Armisen, like
the song itself is so good. Like it's a good ass song.
The song is okay.
It's a good song. It's very catchy. And seeing Fred Armisen as Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, and with the shadow of Jake Gyllenhaal and the piano in New York and all that stuff, it
has elements that are amusing, but like compared to the other musical stuff they've done, I just was not. I was just like, okay, whatever.
That's okay. You can be wrong. That's fine.
So
you have peyote and lettuce ahead of that?
No, peyote is not ahead of it. Peyote is 2 lower.
Peyote's 35 for me. It's the worst one.
It's not the worst one.
Lettuce is
even though it's a simple premise of a man talking in a microphone or a megaphone at somebody else, and you think they're far apart and he's going to jump.
It's not.
They end up being 6 inches from each other's face. but it's
What do
one.
you, what
it's
do you
one
have?
joke.
Okay, so you have it.
It's a one joke, and it's a one note joke, but
yeah,
at least it's a
It's
joke.
only
and
a
it's,
one
and it's
note joke.
quick, and it's a great reveal.
It's not. But what's your last one? What's your 35?
Nurse Nancy, and then Pep Talk. Pep Talk was right there.
Daiquiri Girl is my bottom.
Pep Talk was the one with they were at Fred Armisen's, just like 2 seconds. I'm over there and I'm punching you in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrible one.
I have that at 28. That's pretty low.
Pretty low. Pretty
It's
bad.
at 32 for me. So that's the bad stuff. Let's talk about the middle stuff. Maybe starting around like let's say like 20 up through 10.
All right, that for me is Young Chuck Norris is number 20 for me.
Young Chuck Norris is 20 for me as well.
I think I can't count, but it's probably around 20 for me as well.
You just chose not to number yours.
I didn't.
I will say,
So maybe you should do that because we do have a top 10.
I have the top 10, idiot.
But Young Chuck Norris, though, I will say this: I do love that song. That's a fun song.
It's number 20
And
exactly.
he punched, and he kicked,
Yep.
and he kicked, and he
You
punched.
hear me?
What?
It's number 20 exactly.
Oh, perfect. That's probably the only one we all have harmoniously together, except for number 1, probably.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get there. Now, calm down. Reel your penis in. How about what did you guys think of Body Fusion?
I had that lower, like worse thing.
Yeah, I have 23. That's 23.
23.
It's
Yeah.
not that good.
Mine was 22.
No, it's not. It's
Body
not.
Fusion is just a Jane Fonda ripoff.
Yeah, and
which is fine.
First of all, not a ripoff. It's
Well,
a parody.
Sorry, parody. You know what I mean.
But Brad, I don't know if you know.
But it's not. It's just there's not really a lot of escalation.
the way
in
we're
there or
supposed to do this is we're supposed to rate funny sketches higher.
There is some escalation for sure, and also I actually really like the production value here because they really did a phenomenal job of making it feel like an actual VHS tape from
What is
the,
it? Your number 3? Like what?
the 80s.
You know,
This is my number 1. No, I have Body Fusion at 16. I think Body Fusion is pretty
All
great.
right, that's fine.
No, 16 for me is The Shooting.
I have
Well, the shooting is that low?
Oh, Dear Sister is way
yeah,
up
what
top.
the fuck's wrong with
Yeah,
you, Nate?
Dear
You're
Sister's
a broken
top
man.
5. Get out of here. The Mirror is right next to Body Fusion for me, where it's Andy Samberg dressed as like a ghost, and it's who's the host?
Elliot Page.
Elliot Page was the host, and kept seeing Andy Samberg in the mirror. Oh,
Yeah,
ah!
but
And
then
they
Andy
wake-
Samberg sees Elliot Page in the mirror.
They
and
wake up
then-
together,
yeah,
and it's weird.
They keep waking up.
It's fine. That's the definition of like middle of the road for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
And then they had one with Bill Hader and Andy Samberg played 2 grandkids that are edited into movies for Grandpa.
yeah, Grandkids in the Movies is right in the middle for me too. 15.
Yep. And then
I think there's some really
where's Grandpa in the?
Grandkids of the Movies is number 22 for me.
Okay, yeah. So
there's some really fun bits in the Grandkids one though.
yeah, it was a little too long, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. It just kept going.
Then I had Roy Rules around there, a little bit.
That's 18 for me. Yeah, that's
Yep.
a good one.
Roy Rules.
Roy
I love it.
Rules.
Yeah.
It's further up for you.
Further down.
Oh, really?
Oh no, I loved Roy Rules.
22.
It was
Oh.
good. It was good. It was fine.
Yeah. Okay. I was looking at
He doesn't
15
have
for
a
me.
brother-in-law.
That's fair.
I do want to tell you too. So if you haven't seen some of these digital shorts, YouTube is where you can find like 90% of them. There are some that aren't available easily on YouTube because of music rights. Like SNL hasn't uploaded them officially. However, in this case, TikTok is your friend. If you do a Google search,
Because they don't give a shit.
along with TikTok, you can definitely find a lot of those sketches there. But there's also an Asian website that I found that has a lot of great.
We don't need to know about the Asian websites. Who was it?
Billy, it's called. That's with an I. BILIBILI.com. They have a bunch of SNL sketches that aren't easily available online.
Without jumping directly into the top 10 here, what are your like cusp? What are your honorable mentions? Just right outside your top 10.
One of the ones that I think is close to the top 10 that was not in your close to the top 10 that I loved was Close Talkers.
I've got Close Talkers at like 13 for me.
Oh,
Close Talkers, Close Talkers went further down for me.
So that is Steve Martin and Will Forte
it was very Will Forte.
talking directly into each other's mouths, like not even an inch away.
but in normal voices.
yeah,
Like if
hey,
if
it's really good to see you.
Yeah.
It's really good to see you too. So it's a very simple premise, but it's a very well executed sketch.
It's just so uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
And I just think it's hilarious.
So right on the cusp for me is Laser Cats 2. Laser Cats 2 just barely missed the top 10. It's at number 11.
Laser Cats 2 made my top 10. All Laser Cats make top 10. For
Laser
me.
Cats 2 didn't because it felt too similar to the original Laser Cats. They didn't deviate enough.
Yeah, no, all of them are the same premise, but they're all funny.
But they do start to escalate, and like it changes like how they do it. And so like I think that that one it was very much an easy repeat. Business Meeting was pretty close at number 12. How'd you guys?
Oh, see, I had that one way low.
Way low.
Yep, I had that in in the 20s.
No, I love
Yeah, 21. Yep.
I love the randomness of Business Meeting.
Japanese Office was there, like close to the top 10, but it's obviously a straight up parody, and so I don't really give it as much credit for the creativeness, right? Because it's not their original idea; it's just a parody. So maybe that's why I didn't crack my top 10. But it was still very funny.
Well, plus you have only seen maybe I don't know like 4 episodes of The
I've
Office.
seen 2 seasons of The Office. I get it.
Yeah, but you're kind of broken that way though.
Hero Story or Hero Song?
Yeah, that's right outside.
Just outside?
Just outside.
Oh, okay.
Just outside.
Well,
And then people getting punched.
I have people getting punched in the face just before eating at 14. That's a fun one. That's one of those ones where it's very silly, but there's a fun twist at the end, and I think it works.
Yeah. The other
People
ones that are
getting
right
punched is in
there,
my top 10.
Talking Dog and Doppelganger.
Doppelganger, I have. Yeah, Talking Dog was a little bit lower. But
Yeah, 14 and 15 for me.
All right, well let's get into it here,
Time,
boys.
it's time. People are listening for our top 10.
What's your
For
number 10, Mr. Brad?
This is seasons 31 through 33. Top 10.
All right, so right now, out of these first 35 SNL Digital shorts, my number 10 is The Japanese Office, because I like The Office, and I think that the way they bring the show to life in Japanese form is hilarious.
Okay. All right. I don't have it in
Especially the interruption with the Regis Philbin tampon commercial.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Laser Cats 2 for me.
Oh,
number 10.
Interesting.
Nate, what about you?
People getting punched just before eating was number 10.
Okay. All right. Number 9 for me is Hero Song. And I was so delighted to re-find this sketch because there was a time months ago where I texted I don't know if it was both of you or if it was just Ben.
I think it was me. We were trying to find.
Yeah, all I had in my mind was a bit where somebody is just continually getting punched, and it holds on them getting punched over and over.
Like a Letterman bit where
Yeah.
it goes on for so long that it stops being funny and then becomes even more funny.
Yeah, and I initially thought that it was from
Mr. Tarkanian.
a different SNL sketch where Will Ferrell plays this tyrannical boss, and he ends up killing somebody with a trident, and he just keeps stabbing the person with a trident, and it goes on for a while.
Pierce Brosnan was the host.
Yeah, and I was satisfied when I thought, oh yeah, this is probably it. And then I saw this, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is the sketch. So if you haven't seen Hero Song,
it's really good.
Yeah, because the song is hilarious, and like it's so moody and like very Batman Forever like esque. Yeah, oh my god, the punching is just perfect. It keeps going.
And then I had Laser Cats number 1 as my number 9.
Oh
wow,
brought Laser Cats down.
Yeah,
okay,
Laser Cats.
What's your number 9, Nate?
The Japanese Office, for reasons that you've already said. It's just really funny to me.
Yeah, Ben.
Cool.
You don't even know anything about laughs.
Number 8 for me is Laser Cats 3.
3D. That's mine.
Oh,
That's mine.
Interesting. Number 8 for me is The Shooting, aka Dear Sister.
Dear Sister, not high enough, buddy.
No, I love Dear Sister. Ooh, what you say? Only meant well. What you say?
What you say? Ooh, what you say?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's good.
It
It's
is
very good.
It holds up.
Yep.
It holds up.
It's fine.
Nate.
8.
Nate, 8. What do you got? Make it great.
Laser
Don't
Cats
be late.
3D.
Hey.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Okay.
Akiva Schaffer.
Oh,
Yep.
the Laser Cats bros. What's your number 7, Nate?
Andy's Dad. Written by Andy Samberg, Akiva Schaffer, and Jonah Hill.
This is one that I had forgotten about, and I forgot how good it was because of that.
This is also my number 7.
Yeah,
funny.
this one is Jonah Hill sits down with Andy Samberg and has a serious conversation with him where he tells him
this is funny, chubby Jonah Hill.
yeah, that he's been dating Andy's father.
Played by
One of the writers.
Who is it?
Jim Downey.
Oh yeah, that is Jim
Yeah.
Downey.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And they full on make out.
Full on kiss like two grown men should kiss.
Should kiss if they're in love with one another.
Yeah.
So just knowing that these are two straight people that are acting gay it's just so funny because of the awkwardness of
also because
Andy
of the
Samberg.
age difference between
Oh,
Jonah Hill and Jim
30,
Downey.
35 years.
And Jonah Hill is just so
maybe 40
stinking,
years.
He's so stinking funny in this.
Oh gosh, it was good.
Yeah.
All right, and then so what? Oh, sorry. What was your number 7, buddy? Did you already say it?
Yeah, Andy's dad.
We all have.
Oh, we all have number 7.
Wait, did we really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at us. Oh,
I thought
that's
wow.
So cute.
Look at
That's
us.
so
Look at the friendship.
Look at us just being friends and having similar
Way to
comedic
go, guys.
tastes.
Number 6
Except
for
for I
me.
Ran So Far Away, which isn't very good.
It's great. It's number 6 for me is Natalie's rap.
Whoa,
that's higher for me.
yeah,
That's
that's a steep pull for that.
Why do
what
you
are you
hate?
doing?
Why do you hate Natalie Portman? She's been
Because
my
I like
crush
these
for
other ones
many
better.
years.
I like these other ones better.
Laser Cats 2 is my number 6.
I put Nurse Nancy at number
Oh,
6.
fuck you.
No, Laser Cats 3D is my number 6.
Okay. Here's where it's I think gonna get interesting. Number 5 for me, Lazy Sunday.
Whoa. Okay.
Mine's Dear Sister.
Mine's Laser Cats, the first Laser Cats.
I don't know how I feel about all this because I need to see what you guys are going to do on the moving forward here.
All right, number 4, Ben.
Lazy Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Ooh. My number 4 is United Way.
Oh.
Whoa, that's that's too far.
And this is this is the one that I mentioned earlier that sparked a big argument with
we
Ben.
got in an argument. We got in a big
because
argument.
when this debuted, it did not have the digital short label, and
which means it's not a digital short.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it felt like it captured the exact spirit of what digital
Just
shorts
a
are.
pre-tape.
And when it was made available online, it does have the digital short label in front
They
of it.
changed the rules. But Brad, remind people what the Lonely Island has said is the rules for them.
Yeah, so what they've talked about is basically their rules is that it needs to involve all three of them in the making of it. It doesn't mean that they all three need to be in it, but they all three needed to at least write it together, and one of them directed it. And usually at least one of them was in it.
United Way does not meet that.
Correct. But what sealed the deal for us including it here was that it was talked about as digital short. As of this recording, the most recent episode of the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast. It is the title of the episode. It is all about United
And clearly
Way.
SNL does now include it as a digital
so
short.
it is considered an official digital short, even though when it originally aired, it did not have the digital short.
Ben,
label.
how do you feel about that now?
I mean, it was foisted upon me, so I have to deal with it. So whatever, I guess.
He almost conceded himself. It was just he just needed that extra push.
He was just really hurt last week.
So that was your number
4. United Way.
And what was your number 4?
Laser Cats 1.
Laser Cats 1, gotcha. And so my number 3 was Iran. I love Iran.
I can't believe that's number 3. That's insane to me.
I love it.
I don't even think it's a top 15
I
song.
think it is one of the best ones they've ever done.
That's insane.
I mean, I give you that, like, Fred Armisen looks like...
It's just
Like,
all
I
of
get
the
that.
elements together. It's a great song. The cameo by Adam Levine singing and
It is a good production.
It's all the things I want to see.
They're on a piano going
It's a
through the
well done
city.
music video,
Yeah.
but like there's like at least 15 other better songs they've done throughout the entire
I mean,
run.
I have it pretty high, so I'm not blaming you. I have it at 12, but
What do you have as your number 3, Brad?
Lazy Sunday, wake up in the late afternoon. Carl Parnell, just to see how he's doing.
Carl
Parnell.
Carl is.
Carl-
I meant to say
That's Chris Parnell's father.
I meant to
Carl
say Carl, and I
Carl.
started to say Parnell, and I
Cool.
said Carl Parnell.
Carl Parnell.
Carl
that
Parnell.
That guy's a dude.
solid
He's
guy.
a dude.
Nate, what's your number 3, buddy?
Number 3 is Natalie's rap, because again, I have a crush on Natalie Portman. I just want that to go on record.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I also have a crush on Natalie Portman. That's why Natalie's rap is number 2.
Oh.
See, United Way is number 2 for me.
Number 2 is United Way. So
That means
United
we
Way-
all have the same
Of
number
course,
1 right
it's
now.
Dick in a box, baby.
It's my dick in a box.
My
dick in a box, girl.
girl.
Dick in a box. I've lost track of how many times I've seen this sketch because
More than 100 probably.
I watch it every Christmas at least because I always record the SNL Christmas special, which always has a new assembly of Christmas sketches.
But they haven't dropped that one.
They haven't
They're not
dropped
going to.
They haven't dropped Dick in a Box in a while. But yeah, Dick in a Box it's an all-time great. It's just like it's one of their defining moments on the show.
There are a few in this top 10 because what we're going to do on this show, we're going to do another round of watching and another episode, and then another round of watching another episode. So we'll have a top 10 overall. I can easily see some of these are going to be lost, in the back half.
I don't know. I'm going to stick with my testicles for a while.
So no, but I'm like Jonah dating dad, right? Like I don't know if that will survive the entire. You're right.
Just talking about it actually made me love it more.
But Dick in a Box is not going anywhere. I know it'll be in my top 10 for sure. Right?
I ran so far as getting sunk.
Okay,
I'm gonna.
Are we gonna combine these lists so that we have
we did talk about this
aggregate,
and Ben, who is the business boy, made a good point that doing an aggregate ranking when there's only 3 people doing it doesn't necessarily provide the best set of data.
We'll still do it. Just to see what it does. It'll be fun.
Maybe we need some listeners to be involved, and they can send us their list.
What I was saying is
because if there's one thing I think we can rely on everyone to do, it's go and watch all 110 digital shorts. Because the only way that I even convinced you guys to do it was we're going to come together, we're going to sit, and we're all going to watch it.
There's no way
we fought that for a while,
we really did. No, because if I have Iran at number 2 and you guys don't even have it in your top 10, then it just throws it off, and it's not going to do anything to anything.
But also, I feel like that would mean that we would have a pretty good indicator of the ones that
we're still going to do it,
because especially
since there's listeners that would do this.
Because right now in the top 10 we have a significant amount of overlap.
No, and that's where I think that a lot of it will overlap, and you're going to get some. You're just going to get a couple that Nate and I don't have, and you do in your top 10, and vice versa. Right? We're going to see those that will start to come out.
Yeah, I think that's
like Nurse Nancy for you, all timer. In your top 5, you've already said it.
I'm a big fan of Scott Garbasiak.
But what about Scott Garbasiak?
Well, Scott Garbasiak is good, but have you seen Scott Garbasiak?
I have.
Yeah, because he's
tremendous.
He's like the next Scott Garbasiak. And I don't know about you, but I get real big Scott Garbasiak vibes from him. So, yeah, I'm just feeling it.
Oh, Garbasiak.
I'm having a lot of fun doing this so far. Have you guys been having fun watching the SNL Digital Shorts?
It's fine.
The only one we really didn't mention, Lettuce. That was the very first digital short.
I suppose it's a good idea to pay
a little homage.
Yeah, Lettuce being the very first one.
It's funny, but
it was literally in the middle of my list.
And it's so funny because if you ever want to start from the beginning, this is one that's not officially available online, so you really can't. You have to track it down.
It's literally just Will Forte and Andy Samberg talking
having a
about
very
a
serious
conversation while legitimately taking very large bites of lettuce,
as if the lettuce were an apple, basically.
Yep.
But my favorite touch to this, and I never really thought of it in this way until I heard them talk about it on the Lonely Island Seth Meyers podcast. But the last bit of this is Jorma walking across the scene with his own lettuce, taking a bite of it. And
he's a universe in which...
Yeah, exactly. This is just a normal thing. These two guys aren't weird. Yeah. Everybody just does this.
Yeah. And it's brought to you by the Lettuce Growers Association of America or something like that, which is
honestly,
a good tag.
And I think that the existence of this one is actually something that makes the peyote one even better because you're not expecting it. And the peyote one happened so far separately, thankfully, even though they shot it pretty close to the when they did Lettuce, that there was enough time in between it that you kind of forget about that gag and you're not expecting it, so that's why peyote's good, Nate.
We only missed Cubicle Fight. We didn't talk about.
Cubicle Fight's not bad. That's the Dane Cook one. That's solid.
And then
they were harsh about Harpoon Man on the podcast. I like Harpoon Man.
I didn't hate it. It's not in my top anything.
But
it's not horrible.
And honestly, I only thought 4 or 5 of these I would say were bad. Yeah, quote unquote bad.
And the other one we didn't talk about was Tangent, where Fred Armisen just talks and they put him in everything.
Which was Will, I think, or no, Bill Hader using, because I think he helped co-write that one, and he used something that they knew Fred Armisen could do.
Yeah, Fred Armisen is just amazing at rambling off
and they're
conversation.
Let's find a vehicle for that thing that you can do.
And it's it's a middle of the line thing where it's the same tone throughout, and it's an amusing bit to do and keep it going that way while everything changes around him as a character.
Especially because he's doing this. And one of the things that I don't like about that restaurant is because they have the salad, but they bring it to you on the side before the meal. And a lot of times you have the salad on the side before the meal. I get it, but sometimes I want the salad to come right with my meal. So eventually you zone out as an audience member because you know that, right? So then you get to pay attention to everything that's happening in the foreground around this character while you realize the talent that Fred Armisen has to keep doing this. You're respecting that, but also seeing the comedy. Yeah. And I really think that I think that maybe it's a little bit more underrated than I think, because it's a fun on both levels.
Yeah,
it is.
I probably ranked it a little too.
I ranked it pretty low too, but it I don't know. It's not great.
It's fun to watch, but like
when
you're not laughing out loud.
When you describe it, you want to respect the
exactly. I have a lot more respect for it, but,
exactly.
but I didn't laugh out loud while I was watching.
Yeah, it doesn't make you like laugh.
Guffaw.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I think that I've really enjoyed about the Lonely Island Seth Meyers podcast that really made me appreciate a lot of what we saw here, because there's everything they've covered so far is within these 35 that we watched, is like just getting a sense of just how much they were flying by the seat of their pants with a lot of this stuff. And
for sure.
And that's what SNL does in general, but even more so for these pre-tapes, like them like just going around like as their own tiny crew. They would eventually have a proper crew as they got bigger and more popular, and Lauren wanted them to have production value. But like it's just Keeve, Jorm, and Andy running around New York with a camera, not getting permits for stuff, which is why they film in like janky New York locations where they're not going to get in trouble. Even Dick in a Box, their best one, they talk about how the ending is a complete accident because they weren't planning on having police arrest the two characters or anything like that. They were shooting, cops came over, and they were curious. They realized who they were and what was going on. And they just Keeve and Jorm happened to like just by happenstance say, "Hey, do you guys want to do a shot like in the thing?" And they were like, "Well, yeah, sure." And so they have them get arrested, and it's the perfect ending to the sketch, and it even sets up what happens in Mother Lover.
Yeah.
So like that's something that happens by accident. Otherwise, the music video just fades out probably.
Yep.
So one other thing, just about the kind of the behind the scenes that I have learned by listening to their podcast as well, is obviously lettuce, not the barn burner that opened the door for SNL Digital Shorts, right? But Lazy Sunday was. Yeah. But Lazy Sunday became famous. They stood in front of Magnolia Bakery, right? Magnolia Cupcakes. Mm-hmm. And the owner of Magnolia did not like this. Right. And was like, "No, get out of here. We hate you." Of course, now they love it. But Magnolia back then, you have to remember, it was a New York institution. Yeah. They didn't need Saturday Night Live's help. But of course, knowing that it got famous, this and that, they've definitely buried the hatchet since then. Yeah. But it's just funny to me, like
they frequently have gotten free cupcakes at various events.
That's just so funny. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's been really cool to hear them talk about it on that podcast. If you haven't listened to it, I would recommend giving it a shot. If you love SNL as much as we do, it is a treasure trove of incredible stories from behind the scenes. And because
they really almost review almost all of the sketches in that
they
episode.
talk about the other ones that were in there, and then they do Seth's Corner, which I love.
Because it's Seth Meyers, that's to me is like the thing that really pushes it into being something even more special, is because since he was head writer for most of the time that they were there, you get a whole level of insight into the entire show, not just the Lonely Island side of the stuff.
So if you are a fan of SNL and you listen, if you're listening to us talk about this shit right now, you need to be listening to that podcast too, because it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's been really insightful to hear them talk about it. It's a lot of fun because they have a great dynamic between each other.
And we know they listen to us too. So hey guys, we appreciate what you guys are doing. Seth, great to see you the other night for dinner.
Yeah,
and,
Jimmy Austin, I know you're listening.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys again for dinner real soon.
James Austin Johnson.
Yeah, Jerry Minor, I know that you love the show too.
Jerry Minor, big listener.
Yeah, big listener. So that's going to do it for this episode. We are going to do 2 more episodes. We're going to do 2 more chunks of watching these because it takes a while to watch all these shorts.
So this will come out, and then we'll be off a week, and then we'll be back a week with the next iteration of this. Yep. But we would, and I'm not joking about this, if you've listened to this, I truly want to know, you don't need to do a top 30. What's in your top 5? What out of all the lists that we just talked about, if you remember, if it jogged your memory just by going, ooh, what you say? Like, you remember that one being Dear Sister? Does that make your top 10, top 5? Let us know in the comments, please.
Was that in Garden State too?
No, but there's
no. She does a song in there though, doesn't she?
Yeah. What's the name of the band who does the?
I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, we can talk about that after.
It's Evanescence.
It's not Evanescence.
No, it's not Evanescence.
No, idiot.
It's not the band Evanescence.
It's. Why would you think that was?
He thinks a lot of things.
I actually think anything that's not Enya is Evanescence. Is that fair?
I mean, that's not
Not totally off base.
Yeah, it's not totally off base, I guess. It could be worse. Like you could have gone with something like
Bjork.
Yeah, there you go.
Bjork.
That's
It's just hey.
that's Bjork, right?
Yep, that is.
I think it's Bjork. Anyway, this has been the 10 to 1 podcast. The first episode of our SNL Digital Short Bonanza. That's
Ooh, that what we're calling it?
that's what I'm gonna
The
call it.
SNL Digital Short Bonanza.
Pew pew pew! Yeehaw!
I'm getting a message from base. Beep boop pop.
Nate, you got something?
No. I just like, you guys are funny.
All right. Well, Nate, you want to take us out?
Thanks so much for listening. If you want to find this podcast or any of the other podcasts, go to the10to1.com and please rate and review us. We'd appreciate it. And be good to yourself and be good to others. Bye-bye.